Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our online interview series. We want to get an update from Collective Mining, and Ari Sussman, the CEO, is here with us. Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, and how are you?
Perfect. All fine. Thank you very much, Ari. Great to see you. And I must say, I'm really impressed with your latest drill results. Before we come to that, you are in exploration company. You are in Colombia, and you also have a fantastic track record. The last company, Continental Gold, I think you sold for $2 billion, right?
Approximately 2 billion Canadian dollars. That is correct.
Yeah. So nice deal for all shareholders, I would say.
It worked out. Lots of problems along the way, as always these companies have, but ultimately everyone won.
Yeah, absolutely. Super. So I have the feeling you want to repeat that. It looks to me a little bit like, but I must say, as said, I'm really impressed because at your Apollo target, you drilled like 513 meters with 2.2 grams gold equivalent and 825 meters with 1.1 grams per ton gold equivalent. I mean, that is outstanding, isn't it? It starts from surface, right?
It literally starts at meter zero.
Hmm.
We've got a 20 to 30 meter thick
Hmm.
oxide blanket. So the rock has been weathered and the gold has been upgraded. The copper has been leached out, which is good for oxides. You don't want to have the copper in the oxides.
Hmm.
And then it goes all the way from there. The deepest we've drilled is approximately 1,070 meters below
Hmm.
surface, and the system remains open,
Hmm.
completely open to grow both at depth and along strike to the northwest.
Okay, super. So that sounds like a big porphyry.
You got it. It's a porphyry system. In this case, the porphyry's been brecciated, so the result is that the grades are unusually high.
Hmm.
For a porphyry system, the word high grade and porphyries don't tend to go together. Normally, it's generally a bulk tonnage low grade operation, but this is high
Hmm.
for a bulk tonnage system.
Absolutely, yeah, especially starting from surface. So I found that really interesting in your drill results, where we see the each metal. I mean, gold looks good, silver is fine, the copper content is also okay. Moly is in, and tungsten. So is moly of really high interest because I think the values are quite low.
No, moly won't be recovered here. In porphyries, to recover moly, you need to put a dedicated circuit on the end. You need
Hmm.
enough grade to justify that capex. But we show the moly for one
Hmm.
reason. It is the signature of the porphyries,
Hmm.
right? And so that is what we target. The reason you use moly, and tungsten can be used for that matter too, but it's
Hmm.
moly's heavy and dense. So when you're exploring its surface and you're looking for porphyries, your copper and silver leach very quickly, for over many years, right? And your gold also leaches. Moly, it sticks around, so
Hmm.
it's your best pathfinder. So we like to show it in our results,
Hmm.
to show that we're in a porphyry system. But no, these are young age porphyries, and typically the younger age porphyries aren't moly rich. It's the older aged ones that
Hmm.
have the moly copper component versus the copper gold, well, in our case, silver component, which we have.
hmm Okay, super. So those were now the results, or good results from Apollo. I think you will drill more. If I look in your presentation, when I see there you have me, Apollo, Plutus, Olympus, for example, they are very close together, and they're all showing fantastic values. But now between Olympus and Trap, you have here a new target generation area for this year. So how is it going there? And honestly, it looks to me like that's easily 2.5 kilometers wide, right?
Yeah, so the actual distance is 3.5 kilometers
Hmm.
from Apollo to Trap. The
Yes.
the trend of this is a 4.5 kilometer long porphyry trend.
Hmm.
Okay, and what look, the reason we love this so much, and the reason we're being aggressive in exploration on different targets, is we don't want to pin the company to one target or one system, which would be Apollo.
Hmm.
I mean, studies will ultimately prove it, but Apollo is going to be a mine. It's got excellent
Hmm.
metallurgy. We've announced that. We've announced that previously. Both high recoveries of copper and gold are
Hmm.
expected, plus good recoveries of silver and tungsten. Um, but we believe if you take 4.5 kilometers, that's not a very big distance. And if we or someone that buys this ultimately, which is our goal to sell it, can put two deposits into production simultaneously,
Hmm.
we could be looking at a scenario that produces at more than 400,000 ounces per annum. To put that into context, the
Hmm.
top 10 largest gold mines in the world, 9 of the 10 produce at over 500,000 ounces. Number 10 is at 475,000 ounces per year. So we've got a lofty goal, to get this into the big boy league. And and ultimately our goal is, as stewards of this company, is to
Hmm.
build it and sell it for more than we sold Continental Gold. I think it's
Hmm.
going to be able to produce bigger. The last thing I'll mention is there's a really rare chance, Let's start with a chance. I don't want to say it's a fact. Okay,
Yeah.
but we're explorationists, right? This area might emerge into a very large gold or gold equivalent camp, right?
Hmm.
We don't find things like this, especially in the gold business anymore too often. We used to find camps, one or two or three per decade in the 1990s, 80s, and earlier, and then we
Hmm.
stopped. Okay, we just haven't done that. And why do I say this? Okay, and what does this mean? Well, our next door neighbor is Aris Mining, who is
Hmm.
constructing presently a large scale mine at Marmato.
Hmm.
In resources measured, indicated, plus inferred under Canadian standards, they have 8.7 million ounces of gold equivalent. Okay. We don't have a resource yet, but it's clear to anyone that's looked at us, independent analysts as well, that Apollo is multi-million ounces and it's growing.
Hmm.
Okay. If you put this picture together and assume we have success at these other targets, you alluded to some of them. We're currently drilling Trap, Olympus, and Box plus Apollo. Is it that far-fetched to see a giant gold camp here? Could it
Hmm.
be 20 or could it be 30 plus million ounces? I think this is a real chance at something big like that.
Hmm.
And so we're approaching it with that goal of not going to define resources of that size over the next 2 years. That's just not
Hmm.
possible for any company, no matter how much
Hmm.
money they have and how many drills they have. But to create that picture and demonstrate that that potential is real. I think the last point I want to add is I know all companies talk about their upside. Okay. I mean, anyone you've interviewed says it's an exploration. Look at, we have these targets.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do too, except our targets have already been confirmed by drilling. So
Hmm.
outside of Apollo, they're still at the target stage. But look at the drill hits that we've had. This isn't surface sampling anymore outside a box, which is now being drilled for the first time. But
Hmm.
Trap, Olympus, you mentioned Plutus, you
Hmm.
mentioned ME.
Hmm.
All of these have intersections between 100 and maybe 700 meters in length
Hmm.
or close to it at over 1 gram per ton equivalent. So there's already been proven there's a third dimension in all these. The question is, how big can they get and how much drilling is required to take it there?
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and you mentioned already Box Tower and X. I think those are really new targets in that sense that, yeah, most of them really nothing happened so far. So how do you know where to drill?
Well, okay, so we're putting logic to exploration.
Hmm.
Okay, anyone that builds a mine here, if it's us or someone else, I don't know, is likely going to build the plant and the infrastructure just on the west side of Box.
Hmm.
Okay, so the reason for that is it's the lowest point of elevation on the property,
Hmm.
and there's a large valley there that can hold about everything.
Hmm.
Okay, so we're drilling Box for the first time. Why? Because Apollo, we believe, is going to be a mine. It will be mined as both an open pit and an underground operation. You don't have pits going down 1,000 meters anymore. That's too big. So it'll be
Hmm.
underground. The way to access it is to put a tunnel in that valley, go through Box,
Ah,
through Tower, and
yeah.
into Apollo. Imagine if we find a mineable deposit at Box and or Tower along the way. What are the implications? That it's big, right? So
Hmm.
this is why we're exploring a Box. A Tower will see drilling next after Box, and then X doesn't fall on that pathway, but
Hmm.
it's super exciting because it's a huge hulking anomaly at surface. Again, we all know the risk of surface targeting, but
Hmm.
that you understand what we're doing here. This all
Hmm.
feeds what a potential mine might look like.
Yeah, absolutely. And those grades are also enough for underground mining?
Okay, so there's another great question. What is your mining method?
Hmm.
Okay, so this
Hmm.
is what's relevant for underground mining.
Yeah.
The bulkier the method, right? The bigger stopes that you take, the lower the cutoff grade. The bulkiest method of underground mining, which we won't do here, is called block cave mining. Okay, so typically open pit mines in gold have something like a zero point 0.3 grams per ton cutoff grade. Okay, block caves are now down to 0.4 grams per ton underground.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that Apollo, which is the one we've done internal work on, will be mined underground as a sub-level cave operation. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Mm-hmm.
a sub-level cave. So it's not a block cave, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the second bulkiest method. And if you look around the world, there's lots of those, number one. But number two, a good example is El Dorado's Skouras project, which is in construction in Greece right now. That's going to be mined as an open pit and an underground sub-level cave. Their cutoff grade is estimated at 0.7
Mm-hmm.
grams per ton
Yeah.
equivalent gold. So,
Okay.
so it all depends on the mining method. If you're
Mm-hmm.
going narrow vein, you're probably going to need a 3 gram cutoff or a 4 gram cutoff. If
Mm-hmm.
you're bulk, your cutoff grade comes down.
Yeah, you are everywhere well above the 1 gram gold per ton gold equivalent. So you are in, let's say, in good shape.
Yeah, we think there's going to be high margins at Apollo. Obviously, we don't
Yeah.
know the other ones yet because they're earlier
Mm,
stage. We don't know
of
what's there
course.
yet, but
Yeah, yeah,
um, it's all
yeah,
looking interesting. And
yeah.
also keep in mind, we report bulk intercepts, right? Within
Hmm.
those bulk intercepts, there's subzones at higher grade. If you need to be
Hmm.
slightly more selective, you could raise the grade of what you mine
Hmm. Absolutely.
underground.
Okay. Yeah, that's super. I mean, also infrastructure-wise, it looks all fantastic. You have 10 permitted and operating mines in a 3 kilometer circle area, I would say, within an yeah really established mining camp. So that is all checked. That is all fine. Um, how does it look like? Because I saw in your presentation also you have the option to earn 100% interest in Guayabales and San Antonio. So how is the plan to really get those 100%? Because to me, it looks like this is a multi-million ounce deposit, gold equivalent, and there will be mines. So it's very valuable. What still do you have to do to get those 100%? What is the game plan for that?
So we've already, at San Antonio, there are two components to these deals: spending commitment on the ground and option
Hmm.
payments to the underlying owners.
Hmm.
San Antonio, there was no spending commitment. It's strictly option payments, and there's a couple $1 million left between now and the end, 2028.
Hmm.
At Guayabales, which is the flagship, okay, there were three phases to the agreement. We've already made the spending commitment. We've passed the amount for phase one and two combined. We were
Hmm.
allowed to push it. Doesn't matter if we do it all in phase one or not, it
Hmm.
aggregates. And then you can see we have a series of payments totaling $3 million that are owed in option payments between today and the end of 2028. And then we owe slightly more than $12 million between 2029 and 2031
Hmm.
in production decision related option payments. If we had the money, we don't. We're well financed, but we don't have excess money lying around. But if we did, we could make all those payments today and own 100% today.
Hmm.
Okay. Obviously, this has been a tough market for a number of years. I firmly believe we're maybe 8 or 9 weeks only into the start of a new bull market
Hmm.
after a 12-year bear market in the equities. Okay. So,
Yeah.
and that's an important point. And if you look back at mining, mining cycles, for whatever reason, they tend to be 12 years up and then down. And so we had a 12-year bull market from 2000 to 2011, 12, and then we went bear, and now I think we're at the beginning. So there might be a point where we raise money at an attractive valuation, and we go for, I don't know, 50 million, and there's orders for 250 million
Mm.
dollars. Well, then we might take the excess money, and say let's buy the option. But yeah, the
Yeah.
plan is to own this and not wait till 2031
Yeah,
to own it
absolutely.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it makes absolutely sense because I see the same bull market, and I have also targets like $3,750 already for gold within the next 2 to 3 years. And I mean, if you move on in in the speed and the quality of your drill results, oh, that should be a no-brainer then for the stock price.
We're at 5 rigs right now. If everything aligns, I would like to be at 8, maybe 9 rigs next year,
Mm. Hmm.
right? But that
Okay.
will be dependent on the share
Yeah.
price. Money. We're being careful to manage our structure.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
things I think you can appreciate, we've got an attractive capital
Hmm.
structure to the company.
Hmm.
There's only 68 million shares out, and between management insiders and our unnamed strategic investor,
Hmm.
we own about 50%.
Hmm.
of the company. So we want to make sure we keep it tight and not blow the cap structure out,
Hmm.
for too much money too quickly.
Yeah, definitely. What is cash today? Because the presentation it says 28 million US
It
dollars.
needs to be updated, so it's about $25 million
Okay, so
US.
you are still fine for the whole year.
Oh yeah, we're financing. If we were to run the gamut to zero, it would take us till the middle of 2025. What that means is we'll be looking to raise money in Q1 2025. Obviously, unless the market gets very hot and the stock rallies significantly, then we'll do
Mm,
it sooner.
of course, yeah, that makes absolutely sense. I have also a technical question, if I'm
Please.
allowed to. Um, Hang on one second. I'm just searching. Yeah. Apollo is a porphyry system, and the Olympus system is a sheeted CBM vein system. What is the difference, and could that cause any complications?
Okay, good question. Okay, so porphyries, right? Porphyries come from intrusions at depth, and the way they
Hmm.
form is based on heat. When the temperatures are hot, the porphyry fluids come up. In our case, the copper gold, can be copper moly in other instances I mentioned earlier. As the temperatures in the intrusions cool,
Hmm.
different pulses of fluids come up. The last pulse, based on the coolest temperature, are
Hmm.
high grade veins, porphyry related high grade veins, which we call CBM veins.
Hmm.
We didn't make up this name. It was coined from a mine named Porgera, which Barrick operates in PNG in the early
Hmm.
1990s. It stands for carbonate base metal veins. Horrible name. Right? There's carbonate in these veins, so they're instead of quartz, they're more carbonate rich. Base metal, they're generally lead zinc. There can be copper in them, but they're really precious metal veins.
Hmm.
Okay, Apollo is a porphyry, a mineralized porphyry with overprinting CBM veins. The
Hmm.
shallow portion of Olympus doesn't have porphyry, economic porphyry mineralization in it. It's very low grade, if at all,
Hmm.
but it has the sheeted CBM veins overprinting. What is unusual, not unheard of, but unusual about this project is that these late stage veins, or the CBM veins in porphyries, typically form around the margins of a porphyry intrusion cluster. So clusters are something like 6 by 6 kilometers, typically anywhere in the world,
Hmm.
in some random shape. And these usually form on the outside,
Hmm.
okay, not within. In this case, for whatever reason, Mother Nature has overprinted all of the porphyries with these veins. And that's part of the explanation to why the Apollo grade is so high. Okay.
Hmm.
Metallurgically, no issue.
Super.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
and the simplest way to prove that, besides the met work that we've put out, is Marmato is literally next door. They're mining on smaller scale, the upper level of Marmato. It is a CBM vein system, and
Hmm.
their recovery rates are 96, 97% for gold.
Yeah, yeah, I just wanted to say they're doing really good with that.
Yes, yeah, it's easy. It's straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now we are in June already, 2024. What would
Wow.
be, let's say, your major target, your major goal, what you want to achieve by Christmas?
40,000 meters of drilling, 5 rigs. Our goal is to have another big discovery at Box.
Hmm.
Drilling has just started there. First 3 holes are complete. I am my team, especially my technical team, very excited by what they're seeing. I don't think we've hit anything economic in the first 3 holes, but what we're hitting is a lot of styles of mineralization that are telling us that we drilled too shallow. So we need to
Hmm.
go steeper. So next
Hmm.
phase, steeper holes. I think there's a big system coming from there. It looks a lot like Apollo on
Okay.
surface and full of grade everywhere at surface. It's pretty amazing.
Hmm. Super. So when we will see the first resource estimate?
So maybe late 2025 for Apollo,
Oh,
and
that's
and,
long.
and hope,
Okay.
yeah, oh yeah, and
Uh-huh.
hopefully a second system. I don't know if it's going to be box trap,
Hmm.
probably trap, or Olympus, but a second one, at least in the inferred category, simultaneously, so that we don't get pincushioned to this being a one system mine, but
Hmm.
rather not a multi mine, one mine, but a multi deposit system that can produce at that more than 400,000 ounce per annum
Hmm.
rate, or at least give a vision of that.
Yeah, okay. But that's then after 2030.
Well, I mean, look, we plan on filing for a permit,
Hmm.
in the next government. So sometime between 2026 and 2030.
Hmm.
When that produces, I have no idea at this point. As I mentioned, our goal is to sell the company and let someone else
Hmm.
do it. You mentioned the mining camp with 10 mines. I mean, that is
Hmm.
amazing, but the infrastructure,
Hmm.
is so important.
Hmm.
This was less important. I mean, it's always important, but less important 5 years ago and for the prior 15 years to that. But now we've had a big bout of inflation globally,
Hmm.
right? Costs are very high, and I see a lot of our peer companies which have excellent discoveries
Hmm.
in remote locations,
Hmm.
right? And so you wonder, what would capex be in those areas? You drive right off the Pan American Highway to our project. We have
Hmm.
run of river hydropower abutting the project, and we've got a labor force. We don't need a camp. People will go home to their families. They'll be fed breakfast and dinner at home. We'll pay for lunch. So it's going to be an attractive project for us or someone else to build in the future.
And I could imagine also for those people who live there, they would love to work for you guys.
Absolutely. We're in a mining area. Maybe you don't know this, but Marmato next door to us has been in production for more than 500 years
Hmm.
continuously.
Yes.
It's the second longest continuously producing mine in the Americas, behind one
Hmm.
in Mexico. So I mean, everyone's mining related. If they're not
Hmm.
in the business now, they were in the business in their
Hmm.
lineage.
Super. Perfect. Hey, sounds all like
Okay.
a good game plan. Ari, thank you very much for that and wish you well. And I would say we talk soon after the next drill results.
Look forward to it. Thanks for
Super.
taking the time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ari Sussman, the CEO of Collective Mining. And you heard it, things are going extremely well. This is probably the next multi-million ounce or gold equivalent ounce deposit here in Colombia, in the Americas. And yeah, Ari was already successful with the last company. And also, I think he will do the same now with Collective Mining. Very positive. Honestly, I'm a shareholder and you should really consider the share too. So thanks for watching us and bye bye from Switzerland.